Now let's get insights from ICC Assistant to Counsel Attorney Kristina Conti. Attorney, thank you very much for joining us.
Yes, good morning.
Okay, Attorney, itong recent findings ng, yung challenge ng defense team ni former President Duterte citing the committee ni Senator Amy Marcos about the legality of the arrest of former President Duterte. What is your take on that?
Well, our take is that these findings in the Senate investigation are irregularities in the arrest. Yeah? So it was about how the arrest was protected, but essentially it does not go into the validity of the warrant of arrest or even the proceedings. Kaya kung makikita na isipin natin, parang may mali sa parapan, pero hindi nito mabubura na merong warrant of arrest, hindi nito mabubura na merong kaso. And so for us, this kind of jurisdictional challenge actually tries to, it tries to separate and obfuscate in a way the issues, although of course we understand that there is a difference between jurisdiction and the exercise of jurisdiction. But when we talk about jurisdiction, it really just has to come from the word of or the letter of the Rome Statute. And the Rome Statute says the ICC has jurisdiction when a country is a member state of the ICC and when and where the crimes have been committed. And clearly, we were a member of the ICC then. What the defense challenge talks about is actually the exercise of jurisdiction. You had jurisdiction, but you failed to exercise it. And so this is where we're going to have a little bit of disagreement, because on our part, we stand that the preliminary examination opened in 2018 was an exercise of jurisdiction.
Okay.
For them, they said, no, you need an investigation open before you left the ICC.
All right. So I understand this is all they're part of the legal proceeding ng defense, ano? Pero the way you look at it, tingin mo, syempre, ano yung tingin mo dito na what else, 'di ba? Ano pang dapat gawin ng prosecution naman to counter this claim?
Well, for the prosecution, they just need to, actually, they're under fire in this challenge because the defense is saying that the prosecution had a year to open investigation. So in 2018, it opened a preliminary examination. This is motu proprio, meaning it's just the prosecutor. The defense says there's no judge yet that has looked into the case. The judges looked only into the case in 2021 when they opened the investigation. And so the defense says, well, it was just the office of the prosecutor looking at this. And so it was just one-sided, or yung term nga itself, motu proprio, only on the part of the prosecutor. And therefore, it should not be counted. But for us, of course, the prosecutor has to kind of explain why it would only open an investigation a few years after that. Because, actually, ang hirap din kasi may ganun bang requirement? Wala yun sa text of the Rome Statute. It's just an implication. But for us, we say that the office of the prosecutor, let's not forget that it's really part of the ICC. So it's unfair to call it, to refer to it as outside of the scope of the court when you call it that. The court could also pertain to the office of the prosecutor.
Attorney, hingi ko lang yung clarification kasi medyo hindi man kaming regular folk, we're not lawyers. Sabi nila kasi since the defense is citing we're talking about yung findings ni Senator Amy, bakit hindi rin nila tignan yung actual pronouncements ng former president during the hearings sa Congress where he said, sige, I will accept the jurisdiction. Let's get it over and done with. So para to be fair, bakit hindi daw i-cite din yun? Or at least, at the very least, prosecution should use that also daw.
Well, una, kung usapin ng prosecution, only the sitting president can talk about jurisdiction or acceptance of jurisdiction. So, kung ano man sinabi ni Duterte, nung panahon na presidente siya, yun yung kakagat.
Yeah.
Kung anong sinabi ni Marcos, nung panahon ng presidente siya, yun yung kakagat.
Okay.
And so, in some way, the statements or policy statements as president were consistent. Duterte did not want to join the ICC. Bongbong actually did not want, but at one point said, maybe we'll allow them to investigate, but we will not cooperate or actively participate.
Okay.
So, in terms of jurisdiction, hindi talaga tinanggap po Presidente Duterte. Pero, ibahin ko yung, kumbaga, system or treatment doon sa mga sinabi niya sa Senate investigation or investigations.
Yes.
Kasi parang, ilan yun, meron pa yung extrajudicial killings, meron pa din sa Congress. Those statements could be taken as evidence. And later on during trial, we're expecting some of his statements to, bite him back in the ass. It will come back to him because these statements can be considered as evidence in the sense that ebidensya ito na sinabi mo.
Pero Atty, I'd like to about yung sinasabi ni former President Duterte yung sa congressional hearings about admitting at some point to the killings tapos rini-retract niya. How would a lawyer take a look at this? No, inamin mo tapos rini-retract mo.
That would be an inconsistent statement, and that could actually be used to impeach. Sorry to use the term, but that's a legal term.
Okay.
To impeach a witness or to question his or her credibility. Very pun intended sa mga Duterte, impeached as a witness dito. Pero ang ibig sabihin tingnan mo, hindi mo alam kung ano ba talaga yung totoo, hindi ka consistent sa sinasabi mo, and therefore hindi ka namin paniniwalaan, whichever.
Okay.
Which is why it's pwedeng mong maisip two ways. Una, talagang ginugulo niya yung testimonya niya para hindi magamit o hindi siya mapaniwalaan. Or pangalawa, nagsasabi siya ng totoo. Tapos later on, kasi bawi Kumbaga, yung una lagi niyang sinasabi ay, kung ang term nga natin ay admission against interest. Pag-amin na kontra sa sarili mo. Pinatay ko yan. Pumatay ako ng 6 hanggang 7 katao. Kapag tinatanong, doon na siya babawi or aatras na siya. Actually, bakit ka bibigay ang pangalan? Actually, hindi pala. So yung second part na yon, pwedeng maituring na parang yung una totoo, yung pangalawa yun na yung pagsisinungaling niya. It would depend how you present it, because actually these statements might not be presented at all. Kumbaga iiwasan na ng prosecution. Di ko na nga lang ihaharap to kasi hindi naman ito maganda. O masasabi pa tayo dito, wag na lang. So, posibleng hindi na iwasan na yung paggamit nito. At yung ibang statements, yung marami pang ibang statements ang nandyan. And there's also a factor of, because the Senate investigation and the House hearings were under oath.
Yeah.
That's key, that's crucial. And so, could be taken as the admissions against interest and public statements, publicly sworn statements. The other statements that the prosecutor we think would be his statements to the media before. When he said, kill, patatabain ko yung isda ng Manila Bay and so forth. Yung mga klaseng testimonya or statements pwedeng magamit whether sa media o sa Senate or sa House of Representatives.
Right. But Attorney Conti, I want to take this opportunity na rin to ask you regarding the update doon sa naging usapin din before weeks ago doon sa pag-require ng defense ng ID or identification ng mga victims and witnesses. And I think there was a statement from the defense na hindi naman daw ganun yung that's not what they meant. It was you who interpreted it like that, na parang anti-poor yung mga hinihingi nila.
Yeah, and then they called us liars.
Yeah.
Well, there is a misappreciation, I think, on their part, because we did not, yung specific term why we were called liars, because I think in a news report, the ICC rejected. I don't know what term they want to use, but what happened was, there's a section in the ICC. It's called the Victims Participation and Reparation section. And again, these are not victim witnesses that they're qualifying, but participating witnesses. So ito yung magsasabi na pananaw, kuro-kuro, pag-aalala. Sa ICC, hindi sila kailangan pumunta sa court. Pero pwede silang mag-participate. Anong ID ang pwedeng i-present? Si VPRS, ang sabi, ito, all government-issued identification documents. May kasama kasi na voter certification kasi wala nang voter's ID ngayon, di ba? So, voter certification. So, pinasok nila yon. Sabi din nila, pwede ding barangay certificate. Hindi yun ID. Technically, di ba? It's not an ID card, but it's a document. Pwede rin yan. So, 30 pieces or 30 kinds of government identity documents. They said, let's use this. The defense said, well, observation nila, well, we would, mas okay sa amin kung passport and national ID. In default, maybe one of the documents used in the SSS. The ICC, pre-trial chamber, yung judges sabi nila, ganun ba? O sige, given your observations, however you call it, given your observations, the application of the VPRS and the observation of the defense, we will follow the VPRS proposal. And so this is where the concept of quote-unquote rejection comes from. And what's clear is the ICC did not accept or did not take into consideration even the observations of the defense. So it's a matter of semantics, but I would say that the media, in some way, fairly used the term rejected because the ICC did not follow. And I've said this before. What the defense could have done was just simply defer. Sabi lang nila, we leave it to the discretion of the court to determine which IDs are amenable. Or they could have simply said, we accept any government issued identification card, which was the proposal in the first place. So, ang hirap, there's semantics, but what's clear is the defense wanted to limit, or their suggestion was, let's limit the IDs required. And so, to be specific about it, there were some documents that will not have been accepted if we followed the defense proposal. In the end, balik tayo sa 30. So there's 30 kinds of IDs na government issued na pwede ngayong iharap ng mga victims na magpa-participate sa ICC. We're expecting sometime this month for the call for participating victims to end.
At least we're clear on that. On that note, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. Of course, sa inyong insights na rin, ICC Assistant to Counsel, Attorney Kristina Conti. Thank you so much.
Maraming salamat. Ingat.